Hello, welcome to another episode of Caffeinated Cast-Ons. My name is Therese, also known as Caffeinated Cast-Ons. I am a North Texas-based knitter and I share my making. So any of my knitting projects that I'm working on, I bring them on here, and essentially we go through the projects together, and it's a video version of Ravelry project pages. So I talk about the yarn, needles, any modifications to the project, and just my thoughts as I go through and knit them. You can find all the links for the projects that I talk about down below in the description box, and links, info of where to find me. I've got my cold brew here. This is my second coffee of the day, and it'll probably be my last. But yeah, so I am caffeinated and I've got projects to take you on, and just what I've been working on this past week. I don't have any like finished objects this week, but one thing I have, but I'm not going to show, is my DK jelly blanket. I'm calling it finished and it's being put back in hibernation. Last week my goal was to finish the 8th strip that I was on and go back and weave in 2 or 3 columns of ends, and I did that. So it's rolled up, tucked away. There's the dog. Tucked away, and it's back in hibernation for right now, just because I have other projects that I want to focus on. So somewhat of a finished object. I actually do have another finished object. I forgot about it. I don't know how I forgot, but I finished my rye socks and this is the rye sock pattern by Tin Can Knits. It is an awesome pattern. I love it. It's just like the perfect amount of change up whenever you want to knit something more than just a vanilla sock. This has got a great garter texture going up the front panel, the top panel, not panel, like just the top of the sock. This I knit on 9-inch circulars on a size US 1, and the yarn, both the main color and the contrast color, are West 7th wool, and then the main color is the Hunter's sock base, which is a 70% superwash merino and 30% nylon, and this is on the colorway Lydia. And then this contrast heel and toe, which the camera, I mean, you can see them, but it's not coming off. But this is like a shimmer sparkle, also on West 7th wool, on the sparkle base, which is 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and 5% lurex. And this is in the colorway velvet. Oh gosh. There we go. I did only 15 rounds of a 2x2 cuff, and I think I did 40 rounds on the leg. I want to say I did 65 rounds for the foot, and then I switched to magic loop whenever I did my toe. So that is my finished object for this week. Since I did split the cake in 2 for the main color, I have 2 cakes available. I haven't weighed this yet, so I'm not sure how much yarn is left over. One of these will probably go in my DK jelly blanket. The other, I will probably split that off evenly and then give to my friends that are also working on scrappy blankets. And then I pretty much had a full skein left over of that velvet color, since I only used it for heels and toes. So I plan on this being its own pair of socks. I just wasn't ready to pick it back up yet and knit with it. But yeah, I've got that to look forward to. As for works in progress, I did not touch my Willa tee at all this past week, and that is because I was waiting until I got a cable connector. I lost my little cable connector so I could do a try on, because I wanted to try it on the actual needle cables rather than putting it on stitch holder cord. So this hasn't moved any, but I did get the actual cable connector. It came in a 2-pack. So I have one in case I lose it. But I've got that there. So I can connect my cables together to make a longer cable and do a try on that way. So no progress on that, but just a status update. Since I did get the cable connector, you can also safely assume that I got the right size needles. So when was this? Last week's episode, I talked about, or I think the last 2 episodes I talked about it. I had gone to McKinney Knittery and gotten a pair of, got a US 1 9-inch circular needles. I meant to grab 2 individual packs. One was the correct size, one was a US 1.5, and so it was the wrong size. I went back this past weekend and I was able to swap out the wrong size for the right size one. And so I didn't get far. I don't think I knit anything at all on sock 1. This is what I already had going. I already have my stitch marker, my little corgi stitch marker ready for whenever I do pick this back up this week. But I got the right size needle, and so then now I could start sock 2, which I'm just about done with the cuff. And this is just the vanilla socks on 9-inch circulars. You can follow that pattern by the Crazy Sock Lady. And I do have sock 1 and sock 2 separated into different cakes. That way I can work them both at their own speed. So I think I'm doing 20 rounds. And I think I'm just at 19 rounds on this. So almost done with that. And then I just need to decide how long I want the leg on both those socks, since I am working cuff down. So typically my socks are cuff down so I can do the heel flap and gusset heel. I noticed with the last couple socks I've been knitting that they do fit a little bit looser. And so I was wondering if my knitting gauge had changed. And so I actually started a pair of toe-up socks. I have them in a bag, which is by the Bay Bag Co. She is no longer in business, but instead teaches a sewing course. And this is like the last bag that I bought from her at Fiberfest last year. So I started a pair. Oh, wait, hold on. I forgot to talk about the yarn for these socks. So here is the yarn caked up, and it is split into 2 different cakes. It is also West 7th wool, and it is on the Hunter sock. Again, that's that 70-30% mix, and this is the colorway Rodeo. So I'm calling them my Rodeo vanilla socks. And then again, knitting those on a 9-inch circular size US 1. Now, back to the other socks. I did start a new pair of socks, and I am actually working these toe up. And I'm working them also on magic loop. So different, like completely changing up techniques here. This is what I've got so far for sock 1. I did the Judy's Magic cast on for the toe. Did that in a contrast color. Wasn't planning on it, but as I was going through my stash looking for the yarn that I wanted to do a vanilla sock with, I couldn't resist because it matches like the speckles perfectly. And now I'm just working my way through the foot, marking every 10 rounds. Tip courtesy of the Crazy Sock Lady. So I can see how long the foot is going to be. And the great thing about Magic Loop and Toe Up is that I can try this on as I go really easily, so I can really decide how I want this sock to fit. Knitting this on a US size 1, just on a 32-inch cable to do Magic Loop. The yarn I am using, where is it? So for the contrast color, I have this kind of like, welcome to the Piper Show. Is this beautiful indigo color, and this is a Euphoria Knits. The tag is small because it is a 20-gram mini. This is Euphoria Knits, and oh my goodness, $20-gram mini called a Frenzy Mini, which is an 85-15 blend of superwash merino and nylon. And the colorway is deep navy. And then the main color is this gorgeous cake. And this is Madeline Tosh on the Twist Light base, which is a 75-25 superwash merino blend, or yeah, in nylon. And this colorway is Bird is the Word. So Madeline Tosh. So knitting these two together, I think I'm going to keep the heel the same color and then just do a pop of color at the cuff. That is the plan right now. We will see, which I think that's going to stay the plan, because when I work my socks toe up, I do a Fish Lips Kiss heel, and it's just so much easier whenever it's the same color, because I feel like I have more of a gap whenever working with a contrast color, just because of the way I handle my yarn. I could want to try again. I don't think I'm going to do that for this sock, just because I am using it to figure out like what my counts are again. Okay, let's talk about goals for the upcoming week. I feel like I can really make progress on my Willa tee now that I have that connector piece that I needed for the try-on. So my goal for the Willa tee this week is to try it on and start the hem and really get that going, because I want to finish this by the end of this month so I can make my Q2 goal for finishing that top. For the rodeo socks, I do want to finish the new cuff and probably decide on the leg length. So get to the leg length on sock 1 that's already going and start the leg of sock 2. And then for my toe up socks, I want to finish the foot this week as well. And see what those counts end up being. I'm very curious to see what that measures up to. That is all the knitting stuff, project-wise, that I have to show you. This weekend was a fun one. I did take some PTO this week and go to McKinney Knittery so I could, 1, swap out the needles for the correct size, and then 2, get the cable connector piece that I needed. While I was there, I also did get some new yarn. I got this Twisted Ambitions yarn. It is this beautiful, like, lilac-y orchid color, and it is called Orchid. It is on their sweet sock base, which is 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon. So this is going to make a beautiful pair of socks. I don't know if I want to do like a ribbed sock or just vanilla, but I thought a nice tonal pair would be very pretty. I just love this color. It's coming up a little bit more baby pink, but there's definitely more like purple in there. That's all the yarn I got. And then yesterday, I forgot to say what day it was. Today is Sunday, June 15th. It is Father's Day. Yesterday, June 14th, was Worldwide Knit in Public Day. I think it's Knit and Crochet in Public Day, Stitch in Public Day. Either way, I wasn't available to do that yesterday, so me and a friend drove up to McKinney Knittery together and knit in public a day early. So it was super fun just to do that. We got to McKinney around lunchtime, ate some lunch first, and then went around. I made all the swaps, bought the yarn, and then just sat in McKinney Knittery for like about an hour to just sit and knit. And the couches there, they have great seating all around the shop to just sit and knit and chat. So that was really fun. I didn't do anything for Knit in Public Day yesterday, but I do want to do that. It's just hard because it's so hot in Texas this time of year. So it's like your public place needs to have air conditioning. But super fun. I hope you were able to knit in public, whether it was just you and one other person, you by yourself, or you and a big group of people. I hope that was fun. I think that's just about it. So I'll talk about reading, watching, and listening. I did start a new book. I am currently reading Me Before You by JoJo. I believe it's Moyes. I watched the movie. I believe I talked about that an episode or two ago, and I wanted to read the book. And so I probably could have just read, what is it, Me After You, which is the second one, since I watched the movie for the first one. There is only the movie for the first one. They never made more, but I wanted to see how it compared to the book. So I started that. I like it because I'm able to semi-read it mindlessly, since I'm essentially just playing the movie in my head as I read it. Still equally sad, but really enjoying that. Still making my way through Criminal Minds. I believe I am in season 11 now out of 14 or 15. So that's going well. And then the past couple nights, me and my husband, we watched both Sherlock Holmes movies, and that was really fun to watch. I love those movies. Listening, I have been listening to Pierce the Veil because they were in town this week, and my elder emo heart and self was sad that I could not go to their sold out show. I wish I would have just gotten myself one ticket. Yeah, they were in town, so I hope that was fun. And so I'm listening to the music since I couldn't be at the concert. All right, let's wrap around up with 3 simple joys. I want to take some time to either nap or knit this afternoon, because it's been kind of dreary outside today. It's like perfect, either knitting or napping weather. Simple joy number 1 was taking a barre class this week. I have been looking for different ways to like move my body, and I took a free barre class, which is like a combination of like ballet, yoga, and Pilates, I guess you could say. It was very challenging. I got the shakes almost immediately. But it was really good. Definitely challenged myself, definitely challenged my core a lot, which let me tell you, like, it's pretty easy to challenge my core since having a baby. But yeah, definitely enjoyed it though. It was very, very good. And it's funny because it was a free class that you could sign up for. I ended up being the only one who showed up. So it was almost like I got a private lesson. So I felt kind of fancy in that too. Simple joy number 2 is my field trip to McKinney Knittery with my friend. It was super nice. I really do want to make that more like routine, that I'm going out there and just taking that time. And then simple joy number 3 has just been listening to music. I really enjoyed like just going through my super old playlist on Spotify and listening to those and just jamming out while I take my walks. That is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for coming back and watching this week. Hopefully would like to, I don't know, maybe if I push all my other goals aside and really focus on my Willa, maybe that could be a finished object next week. We'll see what kind of mood I'm in. Yeah, but that's all I've got. I hope you were able to knit in public or just enjoy time knitting or crocheting, whatever your craft is by yourself. And then until next time, stay caffeinated.